Call up, please stand. I'll call up Mr. Chris Taylor, who is the care pastor at Grace Bible Church, who will lead us in the invocation in the Pledge of Allegiance.
School board members, Dr. Longshore, Mr. McClure, which I almost didn't recognize with all that facial hair covering that good-looking face of yours, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd just like to say thank you for answering this call in your life of making the tough decisions and the difficulty of walking through for our students and our teachers across this county. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you are a gracious God, and we pause before the start of this school board meeting to lift up our hearts to you in prayer and thanksgiving for all your many mercies to us throughout the past months and years, to seek your face as we prepare to make plans for the future of our school. We pray that you give each one of those here today the wisdom to discuss the many important issues fully and to make the decisions wisely. We thank you that you have guarded and guided the development of the schools and our school board for so long, and confess that today we are facing increasing pressures from outside. Lord, grant us wisdom to move forward in a way that does not discredit your name. We lift each member of the staff to you, and as well as each child and every board member, and ask that your continued blessing over each and every life as they seek your wisdom and guidance, courage and strength in all issues and areas that touch their lives. Keep us ever humble before your throne and give us the integrity to stand for what we believe. So into your hands we place this meeting, trusting you to lead and guide our meetings tonight and protect our school in the future. It is in your praise and in your glory, and it's in Jesus' name. Amen. You'll join me? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I call this meeting to order. Roll call of members: Mrs. Howerton, Mr. Brantley, Ms. Compton Twist, Mrs. Shute, myself, Mr. Durant, Superintendent Dr. Brenda Longshore, School Board Attorney Mr. John McClure, School Board Secretary Mrs. Welburn. And at this point, I'll pass it on for the Highlands highlights for Dr. Longshore.
Yes, it's my privilege tonight to be able to introduce Ms. Joanna Coughlin from Sebring High School. She's going to be sharing with you all about the IB program at Sebring High. So, Ms. Coughlin, if you want to come on up with some of your students. We're so excited about the journey that you have had over a number of years with the IB program. I think you said dating back to 2008?
2008 was the inception of when we started planning, and Diane Juvie started talking to the board about a community partnership and helping fund takeoff of the program.
Right.
So Superintendent Longshore, thank you so much for inviting us to come and talk about the program. It's always my pleasure to brag on my kids.
Yep.
Board members, I want to thank you for your service. You have a hard job. And on a daily basis, as representatives of the community, you are presenting a lot more problems than solutions. So this is for you. This is a gift to feed your soul. All right, so here is my gang as of 2022-23. We have 157 9th and 10th graders in the pre-IB program. Those are kids who are taking classes, mostly honors, but they have the opportunity to take classes at AP, IB, and dual enrollment level if they're ready for that. And then in 11th and 12th grade, I've got 90 students taking anywhere from one IB class to the full IB diploma program. 24 of those 90 are pursuing the full IB diploma, and my students are going to tell you what exactly that means to pursue the full IB diploma. So our total right now is 247. All right, so IB is best known as a college prep program, but this is the IB mission. The International Baccalaureate aims to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. And maybe it's the age that I am. You know, you always heard your grandpa saying, going to hell in a handbasket. You know, I don't talk about handbaskets because those are out of date, but sometimes I feel the first part of that. So I think you're going to feel a little more hopeful about the future, hopefully, in the next couple minutes. So if you're going to measure the effectiveness of a program, you got to look at the product, right? So what I did was I had some of our alumni do a little video for you of where they are right now. And I want to introduce before that what we call an IB, our learner profile. This is the IB curriculum, this page right here. Yes, we use college-level curriculum to teach that and develop that in our children. But that is our curriculum. That is what we hope our students will be stronger at when they leave us. We're developing leaders, world changers. Can you imagine if all the leaders around you were thinkers, strong communicators, risk takers, open-minded, principled, balanced, caring, reflective, inquirers, and knowledgeable? All right. Hit it, Marlene.
If you're watching this video, congratulations, you won $1 million. I'm just kidding. But you did make it to the correct room for the Highlands County School Board meeting. And while I wish I could be there in person, it's a true pleasure to be able to talk to you about the IB program from a virtual capacity. My name is Kelby Mahoney, class of 2014, and the third class of IB students to come through Sebring High School. And while I still have nightmares about not passing my IB exams, it truly was one of the most rewarding experiences. I graduated from Florida State University in 2017 with a degree in IT and communications. I started with a tech company called VMware after graduating, and I was a consultant for a few years and recently transitioned into a sales specialist role. I help to serve our healthcare customers in the New England region. Reporting live from the financial district of New York City, if nothing else, IB taught me how to stay driven, especially on those sidewalks. They are no joke. It's also taught me how to be a very impactful leader, to remain resilient within challenges, and to manage my time appropriately. I haven't really mastered that one, but we're working on it. It also taught me how to be a really well-rounded human being, from the learner profile to CAS hours. I always try to challenge myself physically, creatively, and to serve my community. It would not have been possible without the amazing teachers, mentors, and fellow students that I had the pleasure of studying under and studying with. I am always happy to help answer any questions. Please feel free to reach out to me and enjoy the rest of your school board meeting.
Hello, I'm Nathan Van Dam. I'm a junior in aeronautical and astronautical engineering here at Purdue University. And since graduating from Sebring High School with my IB diploma in 2020, I've been very busy. This past year, I've been the chief engineer of a rocketry team here at Purdue. We just went and competed in New Mexico over the summer, and we were able to achieve 15th out of 150 total teams, international and national, for our design section of our rocket, which is very impressive for a young team. I've also been a student teaching assistant for the past year within some of the intro to engineering courses, and I've also been a hardware engineer within one of our research computing data centers that work specifically on the supercomputers here at Purdue. All of which took the leadership experience and much of the writing skills that I learned in IB to really be able to take full advantage of all these roles. And I wouldn't really be able to do it without the learning I had in IB.
Hey y'all, my name is Lucas High, IB class of 2017. I live up in Gainesville, Florida with my wife Hadley. I graduated from the University of Florida in December of 2020 with a business degree and joined the staff of Westside Baptist Church that year as well, where I serve as our associate college pastor. I think I have the best job in the world. I get to live life alongside college students, caring for them, helping them to become inquirers, just asking and answering life's hardest questions and helping them reach their greatest potential in Jesus. I'm so grateful for Joanna Conklin, so grateful for the IB program and the Highlands County School Board. Appreciate everything y'all have done for me.
Hi, my name is Cassie Hare. I am a graduate of the 2016 IB class. And after graduating, I attended Cornell University where I studied biological sciences. I did a minor in infectious disease and public health. As part of my public health minor, I spent a summer abroad in Tanzania where I did a project researching the effect of tuberculosis in local hospitals. And I also did a service placement with women who had HIV and AIDS. After that, I spent time working on my pre-med major, and I applied to Howard University, where I just had my white coat ceremony today. So that's what I've been up to.
Should we clap for that?
Yeah. And this is just representative of our students. I didn't have to comb through my books to find who's doing really well. There were videos that I didn't include just because I value your time, but these are just amazing kids. So the term I want you to think about when you think about IB for the rest of our presentation is point of need. We try to meet every single kid that comes to us at their point of need. And kids like that and kids like this need an IB program. All right, help me out, Mar. I'm on. Bottom left. I believe that's where we need to be. Yes. Okay.
So I'm Javier Del Cueto. I'm an IB diploma student at Sebring High School. I'm graduating class of 2023. And I just wanted to run through the cores of the IB program. So on the outermost ring, what we have is all of the classes that the IB course offers. And then as we go in the middle, we have the cores of the IB diploma program, which is pretty much when you take all IB, like your whole schedule will be IB classes. And then in the middle is how we approach to coming to IB. So here are all of the classes that we offer at the high school for IB classes. So we have English literature, Spanish, biology, environmental systems and societies, visual arts, history of the Americas, social and cultural anthropology, digital society, math applications and interpretations, and math analysis and approaches.
Hi everyone, I'm Angela Huang. I'm also a senior in the IB Diploma program at Sebring High School. And I'll be talking about the IB Diploma core. So in order for a student to graduate with the IB Diploma, they must complete these aspects of IB. So for one, they're expected to enroll in the Theory of Knowledge course, or TOK. And in this course, all students will apply information with awareness and credibility. They're also expected to write the extended essay, which is an independent piece of research. And finally, they are expected to participate in creativity, action, and service hours, or CAS hours. And so these activities at the end of senior year are expected to amount to at least 150 hours, keeping in mind that this is over the span of 2 years, so students will not be hit with all of this at once, hopefully.
Hello everyone, my name is Catherine Bubb, and like everyone else, I'm also a senior IB Diploma candidate. So like Angela just said, we do CAS activities, which is activities outside of academics. Some of those things that we do with IB Diploma is IB Care Mobs, which is when we go out into the community and we team with some other community-based service groups, and we do service such as the Lake Jackson cleanup with the Rotary Club, where we all just kind of got together and we joined in with those adults, and we went around and we cleaned up the trash or whatever that might have been left around the Lake Jackson area.
Hello everyone, my name is Alyssa Naraki and I'm also an IB Diploma candidate. Another one of our care mobs that we did was when we volunteered at the Hands for Homeless, and basically we delivered and prepped meals for the homeless in our community.
Our upcoming IB Care Mob is the National Public Lands Day, which is similar to the Lake Jackson Care Mob, except it's going to be in the Highlands Hammock State Park.
So I wanted to, for my CAS hours, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service again, we're encouraged to at least have 3 hours a day. But all of these actions, a week. And then these things can incorporate things that you love doing. Like I love being in art club and Mu Alpha Theta and STEM club. And I get to log these as part of my CAS program, which is awesome for me because I get to have fun and then also log it for CAS. And then on the right, I have some of the community service what I've attended. So like Strawberry Shack, Project Graduation, Soup Up of the Arts, which is our main goal of Art Club, where we raise $25,000 for 3 families in need. And then I also, with all of my academic life, I also balance work life. I work mostly every morning after school, and then mostly every Saturday, as I have a picture on the bottom right there. And then, so for IB diploma, we have to write in an extended essay. And my subject area is in history, so I have to write, so I'm gonna write an analysis of the authoritarian leader of Fidel Castro in Cuba from 1970 to 1990.
You guys want to help him with that? Any takers?
Hey again. So these are some of the activities that I personally enjoy doing, but these also count for CAS, which includes being the president of National Honor Society, IB Student Council, Student Government, and I'm also starting a Health Occupation Students of America chapter at our school. And I'm also involved in STEM Club, Mu Alpha Theta, Chess Club, Varsity Soccer, and Varsity Flag Football, and I was also nominated for Girls State. And for service, I also volunteer at Advent Health for the information desk and the ER. And I also partaken in the Lake Jackson cleanup, Sebring Soda Fest, Heartland Triathlon. And for our Sebring High School prom, I raised more than $1,000. And I also helped for the homecoming. And for my EE topic, I'm conducting a historical analysis of the crisis of the disappearance of the colonists at Roanoke.
All right, so I also do a variety of things for CAS, mostly things that I already did that just happened to count, which is really awesome. So for my club involvement, I did Art Club and National Art Honor Society, which last year I was the treasurer in both clubs, and this year I'm the handmade bowl committee leader, so I get to teach kids how to make bowls in the alternate way, not using an expensive wheel, but just like using your hands like old-fashioned. I'm also the STEM Club vice president. I'm a National Honors Society member and a Mu Alpha Theta, which is our math club member. For sports, I did varsity flag football. I got the Most Valuable Player award last year. And I also did varsity girls weightlifting, and I ranked the highest in my school at regionals. And then for my other CAS activities, for service, I did many of the same things as my peers because it all kind of overlaps, but some of the more unique things is the children's craft table at the art festival. At the Sebring Art Festival, I helped show the kids how to draw things, and I also did a National Art Honor Society teacher project, which is where you find a teacher and you make an art project for them to kind of spruce up their room. And some other miscellaneous activities I did. I've ran a cooking-themed YouTube channel since 2020, and this past summer I also went to Florida Girls State.
I made Catherine put in her cat cook so that you guys can look it up on YouTube. It's really cool. It's not just cooking. She cooks historical meals and different cultures, and she even has some like a day in the life of before Sam. You really should check it out. It's pretty cool.
And my extended essay is in the topic of biology. So as some of you might know, as Florida residents, the past several decades we've had trouble with Florida red tides forming in the coastal waters and causing harmful effects. So I'm trying to find a way that we can continue to use, a thought is that fertilizer might be causing large amounts of Carenia brevis to form in coastal waters. And so I'm trying to find a way that we can continue to use fertilizer, but block it from getting into waterways using biocharcoal, which is like basically burnt trees.
So hi again, I'm Angela Huang, and for my CAS activities, my main activity for not only the past 2 years, but for the past 4 years has been research at South Florida State College. And with this, I participate in science fair and several conferences. So this past year, in May, I placed 4th in my category at the International Science and Engineering Fair in Atlanta. And this had roughly 1,700 competitors chosen from either their countries as the best people in their countries or the best people in their state or their regions. And at the international level, I've competed 2 times in 2021 and this past year. I've also presented at national and statewide conferences, including in Orlando, and most recently being in April, where I presented in the Experimental Biology Conference in Philadelphia to professors, graduate students, undergraduates, and all walks of life. Some other cool things I do outside of school. I serve on the editorial board of a statewide undergraduate research journal alongside college students. And there we review interdisciplinary research papers ranging from English to history to chemistry. And it's been a really eye-opening experience. This past summer in Indiana, I isolated and characterized a novel enzyme and optimized a small inhibitor for it to hopefully block its function and improve food security. And through that, I also wrote a roughly 12-page research paper and spent a lot of hours crying in the lab. Not actually crying. I also interned for a pro-democracy organization, and within school, I'm the president of STEM Club and Mu Alpha Theta, which is our honor society for math. And in terms of service, I volunteered for Heartland Horses, and I recently started working at the ER at Advent Health. So, as you can probably guess, I like science. So my extended essay is pertaining to that. And in short, I want to see if we can use this oral opportunistic bacteria to kind of serve as an indicator of colorectal cancer. And I also want to see if it correlates with inflammation in your colon. So shown here, the green slides are basically what I do. So I paired up with a local GI, which is like a gut doctor, and I obtain these colon tissue. And from there, they can be non-cancerous, precancerous, or cancerous, and I basically did some staining on them. And from there, hopefully, we'll be able to find and improved ways of cancer treatment.
So again, looking at product to measure the effectiveness of your program.
Yes.
And when you hear them whining about not getting enough sleep at night, it's not the IB program. You saw what they're doing. These kids want to get involved in everything and do everything, and they are. They are doing such amazing things. Another measure here for a college prep program is, are we helping them reach their dreams? Are we helping them get where they want to go? I can't fit all the colleges the kids go to anymore on one slide, so I just put the big dogs up there. So less than 10% acceptance rate is in the red box. The ones that are underlined are the ones where students just got into in the class of 2022. 10 to 15%. You will notice in the 20 to 35%, we have 3 Florida schools. It is getting harder and harder to get into school in Florida. It's a great place to go to school. We have a great school system. People are just moving in, and from all over the world, people are coming to Florida to go to school. And since UF was ranked in the top 5 now, it has gone. Admissions last year were a bear. So we're doing a good job in that area. Oh, look, another measure of effectiveness.
Wow. That's amazing.
Okay, I'll do it.
So every October, high school juniors have the opportunity to take the PSAT, which qualifies them for the National Merit Scholarship. And so from 1.5 million test takers every year, 15,000 are chosen to continue as semifinalists, which is dependent on their PSAT score, which is slightly different from each state. In the past 12 years, we've had 12 semifinalists from Sebring High School, and it's important to note that these students were all graduates of the IB program. And something else to note is that we did not have any semifinalists before IB was instated at Sebring High School.
There's a little blank there with a question mark, because we know that we do have someone qualifying. We just can't announce it yet. You got some pretty good PSA scores.
So from the 15,000 semifinalists, roughly 7,500 are chosen to continue as finalists and to actually receive the scholarship. So these people pictured here are graduates of the full IB program, and they are graduates of the class of 2020, 2021, and 2022. And so having this amount of actual finalists from a school as small as Sebring is an incredibly significant number, and we hope to increase this amount in the future.
All right, and then the final pieces of data I wanted to share, just the past assessment. Did you say wait? All right, from the results that we got in July from the graduates of 2022, we had 175 subject assessments. Of those, 87% earned a passing score that allowed them to earn college credit for that class. Now here's the really amazing number, is this is how it works to get college credit. There's 7 possible points that a student can earn in IB assessments. And as opposed to AP, where it's just one exam at the end that determines the score, IB has other assessments. They may be giving a speech in class. They may be doing a paper. They may be doing a research project. So if they get a 4, they earn 1 college class. If they get a 5, 6, or 7, they earn 2 college classes for that 1 course that they took. 58% of those scores earned kids 2 college courses. Our IB diploma rate was 86%. 22 out of 25 earned IB diplomas. And by the way, a student can earn a Florida Bright Future Scholarship by earning an IB diploma and doing 100 community service hours within their CAS program. So that's 22 kids that earned a Bright Future Scholarship through the IB diploma this year. All right. I am a gator, but I swallowed, and I am going to show you this video of some brand new Knowles.
Hi, I'm Madeline Swain.
Hi, I'm Miguel Arcillo.
And I'm Amber Elder. And we all graduated with the Sebring High School's IB class of 2022, and we're all attending Florida State University. I'm majoring in psychology.
I'm majoring in political science.
And I'm majoring in exercise physiology. I was an IB certificate student, and I took IB chemistry SL and IB English HL. I got 2 credits of English and 2 credits of chemistry, along with the 2 lab credits.
I was also an IB certificate student, and I took IB English HL and IB American History HL, and I got 2 English credits and 2 credits of world history.
I was a diploma student. I took IB English HL, Spanish HL, Math HL, Chemistry SL, Biology HL, History of the Americas HL. I was able to get 2 classes worth of biology in their labs, 2 classes of chemistry in their labs, ENC 1101 and 2, the World History and American History credits, MAC 1140, and I had also completed all my foreign language requirements for my degree.
And that's pretty much it. Go Knowles!
So that's just what they got for IB credits. All 3 of those kids, as a lot of IB kids do, also take AP classes besides their IB, and they may take dual enrollment as well. So my IB kids, whether they be certificate, just going for the college credit, like Amber and Madeline, or diploma, they land in the sweet spot in college, is what I call it. They don't have a full AA degree. They land somewhere in their sophomore year, whether it be first semester, second semester. They've got time to get their feet on the ground, take some classes to figure out, yes, this is what I really want to do, because we know that they'll change their mind 2, 3, 4 times before they graduate, and they don't have to jump into the junior year with other juniors in the college right off the bat. There we go. And then just one summary of since 2012, we have maintained an 87% subject exam pass rate, 85% diploma rate. The worldwide average is 79. And there's an average of the dual enrollment credits that our kids own. Pre-IB kids, depending on how prepared they are for college level, they can earn up to 12 college credits before they even get to junior year. And then, again, IB diplomas, anywhere between 18 to 38 just from their IB classes. I do have to say one thing about Advent Help. When we started as a program in 2008 and were approached by the community to start this program, they gave us seed money to get started. And since then, a lot of you have been to the IB fundraising banquet. So a lot of community members have supported us as we got going. Then when the COVID come around, we stopped having the banquet, but Advent Help has continued to donate $10,000 to us every year without the banquet. We earn enough money on FTE to pay for our IB fees and to pay for our subject exams. So the $10,000 that they give us helps send teachers to training and get lab supplies for the art class and the science labs and extra things that we need. All right, did you want to say something? Yes.
Sorry, this is a little off script, but I just wanted to say that I feel like the IB program has really impacted me personally, because I feel like when you're in the program, it's kind of everyone's like a family, and there's always support with everyone, especially with Ms. Coughlin. And I feel like it's given me a new sense of confidence, and it's helped us. I feel like I can vouch for all of us when I say it's helped us to be able to accomplish the things that we have been able to. And it honestly wouldn't be possible without that IB program. And my sister is in middle school, and I'm hoping that she's going to be able to come into this program and experience what I've been able to experience. So thank you.
Thank you.
So before you leave, Ms. Coughlin, did I see Ms. Irvin come in? Yes, she's back. Okay. Would you come on up just for a minute, too? Because honestly, the leaders have been so passionate. I think you can see that in Ms. Coughlin's as she speaks about the IB program, and Ms. Irvin has just supported this program all along the way. And students, truly, you are stepping stones. And you ladies are stepping stones. I think we've seen a beautiful demonstration again of how the community partners with our schools, just like the CEO program that we saw at our last board meeting from Avon Park Middle School. Again, it's just that partnership that is so powerful. And as I shared at the last board meeting, there was a poem that I really treasure that talks about being a stepping stone. And I would like to quote that to you and then give you that poem and a little stepping stone so you can remember that you are truly a stepping stone for the next generation, students. You've seen it from our alumni, and in you, I can even hear the passion of the things that you're doing in our community right now. The poem goes like this: "Isn't it strange that princes and kings and clowns that caper in sawdust rings and common folk like you and me are builders for eternity? For each is given a bag of tools, a shapeless mass and a book of rules, and each must make their lives air-flown, a stumbling block or a stepping stone." And you truly are doing just that. So thank you for that. Let me give you the poem and a stepping stone. And let's give them a great big round of applause. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You're our inspiration, for sure. Ms. Irvin, here's yours. One for you. You can't forget that you're a stepping stone. No throwing. We made that clear last time.
Collectively, I'm proud of all of you, but I know Angela and Alyssa are both many leadership opportunities when I was at Sunny Lake Elementary School. I know Safety Patrol, among other things, and I saw that talent in them at elementary school when I see it today. So
I do have, thank you for calling me up, but we do have some IB teachers, if they'll just stand up back there.
Wonderful.
Brittany, stand up. Yeah. Brittany Leach teaches our IB English, and and Alicia Brake is there too, and I will tell you this. Alicia is homegrown. She is in her first year of teaching with us, but she's subbed with us for 2 years. She graduated in 2019 from the IB program, and she's teaching English for us at Sebring High School, and we're just proud that she's come back to serve in our school. And she's such an inspiration to the students that she has in her class, and she taught IB Spanish for us last year, so
That's awesome.
we're happy. And then, did I miss anybody? I want to miss anybody? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So as we keep those celebrations going, I do have a gentleman that I would like to bring up for the board, Mr. Jerry Wright, the principal at Woodlawn Elementary. And you're probably thinking, he's been there for forever and ever and ever. We feel like he has. He escaped at Park Elementary when I was trying to get him over there as a teacher, and now he's the principal at Woodlawn. So come on up and greet the board. Let's give him a round of applause.
Any more great things.
Mr. Wright, you want to say a couple words?
So being born and raised in Highlands County, it's a huge privilege to come back and serve the students and families of our community. And it's even more special to serve at Woodlawn Elementary School. So I've got to teach there, serve as the assistant principal, and it has been my greatest honor when Dr. Longshore and Mrs. Connor offered me the position of principal. So it's an amazing place. Nothing really I do, just an amazing staff and a lot of amazing families. And so if you have a chance, come stop by. It's a great place to be and grow and learn, and it's the Woodlawn way, and we love every minute of it. So thank you for the opportunity and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Connor and myself had the great opportunity to teach Mr. Wright. And so I think he's learned all from us, right?
Sure.
We can take no credit, actually. Very good. Thank you. All right.
Okay. Any school board member committee reports? Okay, we'll go to presentation of petitions, comments, concerns, report. Read my little disclaimer here. The School Board of Highlands County welcomes you to the meeting. It's time set aside for the citizens of Highlands County to address the school board. It's not a question and answer period. The board will only receive your comments. If deemed appropriate, the board may request the superintendent to obtain additional information to address your concerns. Public comment is intended to allow members of the public a forum to express their concerns regarding the operation of the school district. It is not a forum for general political speech unrelated to school operations. Please come to the podium, state your name for the record, and limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. And then, of course, please address the board as you address. And are you good? Okay, we're going to start with Sharon Spillane. I got that right?
Hi, my name is Sharon Splain, and thank you for listening to me. I know I've only got 5 minutes. I'm going to talk as quick as I can. I'm new at this. My daughter's only 13. She goes to Hillcrest Middle School. She's an 8th grader. She has very good grades. She's a gifted student. I know that we didn't bring this up today, and this is one of the first meetings that I've come to. I just wanted to bring up the fact that I'm reading on the websites about the books containing fellatio and other things that children of the age, well, any age in school should not be able to read. Also, the bathrooms, if I go, I know I'm scatterbrained right now. I had it on here. Just the main thing that I'm upset about is the fact that they're trying to push or teach children about any type of sex education or what they should or shouldn't be doing in sex or about sex when I think our schools should stick to curriculum of ABCs, science, anything about sex, transgender, anything of that nature should be done at home, church, counseling. I don't think that this should have anything to do with any of our schools. I don't think that should have anything to do with our schools. It upsets me to read that apparently one of the books that is in one of the middle school and high school talks very, very graphically about fellatio. And I'm not going to use the word, this is a polite word, versus what and how to perform. And this is in our school's library. That upsets me very much to think that that is there. And I just don't think that those are the type of books that we should be putting on our children or even confusing them and allowing them to read. I don't think that, I don't want my daughter, fluttering across the library and going, oh, okay, and bringing it home. She would literally be in shock. She would be in shock. So this has just come to my attention, and it has literally not only upset me, but it has shocked me to think that these type of books are in our school and that we are moving. I know times are different. I know things are different from when I was in high school and middle school and whatever, but I do not think sex education when it comes to transgender or who goes to what bathroom or how you dress or whatever, I don't think any of that has anything to do with you're getting into Harvard or Yale. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. That when my daughter gets up and goes to school in the morning, she wants to learn about math, science, history, reading. We've taken cursive out and put in sex, transgender. I mean, I disagree completely. And I'm sorry if I've raised my voice, but I'm very upset about it because my daughter, she is an Ivy League wannabe. She is steadfast on, she is in 8th grade and she is, I'm going to Ivy League. So my student, my child, and I sure can speak, I'm sure for other parents, we want our kids to learn about what they need to learn about to get into college. And giving fellatio is not going to get them in Yale. And then I saw another picture of a woman that was very cloudly dressed, and this is another book that was in the school. Unless they want to learn to be strippers, which you do not have to have an education for, I do not believe that book should be in the schools either. So I'm not really able to cover everything in the 5 minutes that I would love to cover, but I definitely think that we should move more towards bringing cursive writing back in so my daughter can sign everybody's checks when she's done. And things like that are a little bit more important versus transgender or teaching our children about how to be promiscuous or not promiscuous. That is something that a parent should do at home or a church or a counselor versus our schools. It is our duty as parents and the school board to teach our children the educational fundamentals of being able to get into college. Showing your behind in a book and teaching children how to give fellatio will not make them any better in college. I can promise you that right now, and I think everybody would probably agree that that's just not something that's acceptable, and it's something that I'm totally against, and I will come to every single meeting, and I will repeat this. I'll write it down and make it a little bit better, but again, as a concerned parent for an eighth grade little girl, this bothers me to the core, and I think that it should be taken out. I think it shouldn't even be discussed. This is something, again, people will say, well, some kids don't get this at home. It is not your job to teach what they do at home. Your job is to teach our children the curriculum for them to get into a good college, to get a good job, to go do what they want. Stripping, they don't need an education for. Fellatio, they don't need an education for. They'll learn that down the road. That's none of y'all's business. It's none of my business. It's my business when it comes to my daughter. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Sure. Can you move that?
Yeah, that's the second
Can we
person
have
that's
somebody
kinda tripped on that.
make that safe? I just don't want anybody to trip over that thing.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's happened a couple
That's the
times.
second person I saw.
We can move it back up here. We can move it up here.
Put it up top.
Next up, Jared Eddy. You good? Okay. All right. Next is Lonnie Wells.
Good evening. I appreciate so much the opportunity to be here tonight. Before I get started, I want to express my deep appreciation to this board, to the superintendent, for Mr. McClure. Certainly, this is the most challenging time in history I can think of doing the jobs that y'all are tasked to do. Thank you. Whether we agree totally on every issue or not, doesn't matter. Thank you so much for being willing to serve this community, for being willing to serve our children. Tonight, I want to make a couple remarks, and I want to couch it in a Bible story. Perhaps it's one of the best stories that I've ever heard in the Bible, and it's called Goliath and David. Today, I believe that we're almost facing the David and Goliath scenario. We are being forced by the federal government, and I'm going to call that our Goliath, if you will. We're being told by Title IX that things must change, that we must adapt and adopt a new definition of what sex discrimination is all about. I wholeheartedly do not agree that gender identity and sexual orientation ought to be considered and interpreted as part of that discrimination, thereby forcing you, our school board, to accommodate the various things that other schools who have adopted Title IX and the new interpretation of Title IX to have to accommodate. Look, I am first and foremost here tonight a grandfather of 5 of the greatest grandchildren ever born, and I'm sure y'all feel the same way about yours. My interest lies in what is truly the best health and welfare for them going forward. I'm thankful that we have a David that's also made an appearance. And that David, in my opinion, is our best governor in the history of Florida, Governor DeSantis. He has wholeheartedly come against the woke agenda that Title IX and its new transition of words that the perhaps Goliath led by the Biden administration and the Department of Education at the federal level is trying to get us to do. But DeSantis and our Secretary of Education of Florida, Manny Diaz, have come out strongly. I understand that each one of you perhaps have gotten a letter from the governor or from Manny Diaz stating that you do not have to adopt this new interpretation of the word sex discrimination. I read that in an August article, and if that is changed by the court's interpretation, please correct me. But they are encouraging you not to adopt it. As a matter of fact, if you do adopt it, you may be in violation of a state law that is passed. So tonight, we thank you. We know this is a hard challenge, but we're asking you, I'm asking you on behalf of every parent who believes they still have rights in this country. I'm asking you, as a co-minister that says in Genesis chapter 5 that he made them male and female, I believe God doesn't make mistakes. I believe every child that is born male is truly a male. Every girl that is born a girl is truly a female. I believe our children probably need education and psychological help on those who are disoriented, if you will, about what their sex is, not a school system that promotes it or encourages it or enhances it. So tonight I'm asking y'all to be a David. I'm asking you to pick up your sling. I'm asking you to throw a rock at the giant. I'm asking you to do the most unpopular thing. I'm asking you to stand with courage because you know what? I read the end of that Bible story. David won. And I believe we will win if you'll have the courage to vote against this new sexual orientation and gender identity definition. Thank you so much.
Lori Murphy. Do I have that right?
Thank you guys for having me here. I've been a long-term resident of Highlands County, and I've been blessed to know such a diverse group. This county is amazing. Even this room is amazing. It's got so many different points of view, whether it's political, religious, even gender identities are so different here. I think that's what makes us such a strong community. I'm here because I'd like to talk about one subject that I'm not positive is being addressed, but on the chance it is, I'd like to talk about House Bill 1557. I have many things I could say about it. It's a complex bill, and it's already been passed. I get that. What I'm here to talk about is I believe that there's a possible intent to expand the state's wording of it, where it limits certain discussions up through 3rd grade, to change it to be all the way up through 12th grade. And I have some concerns about that. For those of you guys that don't know, if there's anybody in the world that does not know what 1557 is, it does talk a lot about the education involving, well, let me quote one thing from the preamble of the actual bill. It's a 7-page bill, and on the very first page, line 21 through 23, says one of the purposes is to prohibit classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity. And that's what I have a problem with. I come from a long line of educators. My grandparents were educators on both sides of my family. I'm sure we go even further back than that. Well, I have a problem with anything that has to do with education that limits the concept of discussion. Discussion is paramount to understanding and successful coexistence. And if anything, our community needs more discussion, more understanding, more peaceful, successful coexistence. I'm not asking anybody to believe what I believe. I am asking for a respectful discussion. The problem is that when you limit discussion, then things happen that have happened over the last couple of years. We stop talking to each other, and then we stop listening, and we stop learning. We also stop growing as a person. I was taught to ask questions about things that I didn't even believe in. In fact, my mother and my father told me the most important questions were inquiry on things that I did not believe in. Not to change my mind, but to gain more knowledge. I'm also concerned about the impact of discussion that has so many unintended consequences on the students and the teachers. People will tell you that this bill is not actually limiting discussion because the content of the bill talks about instruction. Well, see, that's the double-sided thing, because they use Danielson's framework for teaching as a way of evaluating the successfulness of teachers. And I believe that discipline 3, domain number 3, under instruction says, 3B, using questioning and discussion. So how can you be a successful instructor if you're limiting discussion? What is this doing to our teachers? We're already in a terrible shortage of teachers. And you're telling them now, we want you to follow Danielson framework for teaching. We want you to follow instruction. And that's what the word we're hiding behind. But don't do 3B. Don't talk about discussion. How can we truly educate the individual if we do not have discussion? So their hands are being tied. They know that the purpose was to stifle discussion, stifle expansion and questioning, even if that's not what's actually in the full body of the bill. So what are we doing? We've got shortage of teachers. We've got students that do not feel engaged. They do not understand how their education is relevant. And you can say, only teach me what I need to go to college. Well, darn it, I believe that education is to make you a really thorough and successful citizen that can coexist and push our entire community to a successful future. And you cannot do that without knowing the subjects that your legislators are going to be voting on, the laws that are going to affect you. It's not just ABCs. It's how those ABCs affect your life every day. We can't keep our head in the sand. But furthermore, we can't tie the hands of our teachers. There are textbooks, there's legislation that tells them what to do. We have that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Jennifer Quigg.
Before we get to the next one, I would remind the audience, please, there may be differing viewpoints from your viewpoint, and if you would just keep it to yourself, please. It's wrong, frankly, at a public meeting to to have somebody shout down your point of view. You might have the same thing happen to you otherwise, and we need to maintain orderly public meetings. So please adhere to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much for hearing me today, and to the school board members for being here and serving the community, as well as the community members here. I did want to present a difference of opinion that may not be popular this evening. However, it's what makes this country great, is our ability to express our views so that our leaders and political officials can see all of the community, and so that it can adequately serve its members to their best ability. I kind of wanted to address sexual education, as well as some gender bias that I've seen throughout the past few meetings that I've watched. We're addressing only heterosexual parents and only people engaging in any type of heterosexual lifestyle. However, Highlands County is changing, and as well as America. The family unit can look very different nowadays than it did, let's say, 50 years ago. There can be 2 moms, 2 dads, or parents that identify as gender neutral, transgender, etc., which is completely legal in the United States of America. And therefore, in the way that we address the students, it would help them so that they feel safe by being inclusive and understanding of their individual family units. I also think that as far as sexual education goes, that it's very appropriate to educate students. I think it's appropriate to teach abstinence. However, I also think it's very appropriate to teach high school students how to engage in safe sexual activity, so that when the opportunity arises, they know how to make an informed, safe decision for their body that they are knowledgeable about. I think that as a lot of people here are educators, you guys believe in education clearly, ignorance doesn't help anyone. Not knowing about your body or how to take care of it isn't safe, and it contributes to a lot of unwanted pregnancies. It contributes to a lot of pain and worry and implications that hurt not just one mode of society, not just heterosexual. It affects many different people in many different socioeconomic classes. So I think that teaching teens a more well-rounded sex education would be very beneficial to them, so that you can support them, just as the IB teacher came and shared how she is supporting her students at their points of need. When you're a teenager, and I think all of us hopefully can remember what it's like to be a teenager, where there's a lot of raging hormones and there's a lot of feelings that are occurring. Yes, we want to learn how to grow into the best versions of ourselves, but that is not the only concern that we're being presented with at that age and at that stage of life. And I think that it would be important for educators to support those discussions and to support the students in all of their areas of need. Thank you so much for hearing me speak.
Thank you. Okay. Next, Reverend George Miller.
Well, good evening. My name is Reverend George Miller, and I've had the honor to serve the Sebring community for the past 12 years. And it is so wonderful to watch the school board and to watch what you do and to see the legitimate care that you have for our youth and our children. But I'm concerned about the discussions that have taken place regarding comprehensive health education. Few of the decisions seem to actually be based on fact and research. Research has actually shown us how life-saving sexual education is. There is actual data out there that is indisputable that shows how sex education has been able to reduce teen pregnancy, STIs, has actually cut down on students reporting depression or attempting to commit suicide. research from places like Darkness to Light have shown that teenagers who take sex ed are less likely to be sexually abused and sexually trafficked. And the news is that Florida is one of the highest places in the nation in which teenagers are being sexually trafficked. Data has shown that abstinence-only lessons will not keep our kids safe from getting STDs or being pregnant-free or from being abused. I've also noticed that orientation has been discussed as if being gay or lesbian is all about sex. But orientation is actually about identity. It's about who you are, who you love, and how you feel most comfortable. For people to use personal religious views to say that people of the LGBT community are evil is wrong. This puts false words into Jesus' mouth, and it goes against the teachings of Jesus and his compassion. It is scary to know that safe havens in schools are not allowed for our students out of fear that they'll be outed to their parents. Telling a parent that their child has come out as LGBTQ can pose a big danger, because the truth is 40% of homeless youth are LGBTQ who were kicked out of their homes when they came out. And we also know about 40% of our homeless youth are sexually trafficked and abused. What we've heard is by public speakers who are doing their own personal takes on faith, which is laced with misunderstandings about Scripture and wrong interpretations using mistranslated text. We hear folks say, well, we want to do a biblical approach to sex, and yet the Bible features polygamy, concubines, marrying your kin. David was an adulterer who most likely raped Bathsheba, had numerous wives and tons of concubines, and was extremely sexually promiscuous. I am concerned about the meanness we have witnessed in this room done by people who identify as Christians. LGBTQ youth are being discussed at these meetings as if they're non-human, as if they're non-citizens, as if they are not members of American society. You know, watching some of the people here in your body language, it's like the bullies from junior high have grown up to become the bullies in this school board meeting. And one of the things growing up is watching how people don't know how to respond to bullies. And oftentimes, people don't know how to respond to bullies because deep down, we know those bullies actually have issues at their home or actually have things that they are dealing with. You know that great Southern expression, a hit dog hollers? It's really interesting to watch how many people seem to be obsessed with the notion of the LGBTQ presence. Perhaps they're worried that someone in their life is gay. Perhaps they're worried that they themselves are gay, so they're doing everything they can to demonize others and to point to innocent children so they don't have to look at themselves. If this is you today, and you are wrestling with someone you love who may be gay, or you yourself think you may be gay, please stop taking it out on our children, because you're hurting them and you are ultimately hurting yourself. And if this is you, know that you are worthy of love, and there are people who will welcome you with loving arms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Larry Overfield.
Larry Overfield, CPT. I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not going to speak about sex tonight. Good evening, board members, Dr. Longshore, John McClure, Esquire, Madam Secretary. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to the two board members that will be leaving, okay? Thank you for your service. You've done a great job, and I love the working relationship that we had developed. To those that are coming on, welcome. And I hope that we can have the same working relationship. If not, you'll be hearing from me. The preamble to the Constitution starts with 3 bold words. We, the people. From the very beginning of this country, it has placed the power of this nation into the hands of the people. There are people that want to change that. Imagine that. Some of the change has already happened. Since the beginning of this country, we have lost certain liberties, many without our input or our vote. The Declaration of Independence tells me that I am endowed by my Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. There is an organization in this county whose leadership is advocating that we give up our right to vote for our school superintendent. Well, I, for one, don't want to give up my vote. I don't want to give up any right, so that a corporation can influence those who would make that appointment. That influence would be made with money, perks, or threats, or any other way to gain control. Remember, corporations can vote as one person, but they got a lot more money than you and I have. Appointed positions in our government have given us ethanol, higher gas prices, and turtles that can move on my property and be destructive at their will. And I can't do anything about it unless I've got $3,000 per turtle. These are non-tax-paying entities that have more rights than I do as a taxpayer. Listen, I ask you to approach this idea with your reasoning and not your emotions. Do not let someone who has a vested interest in influencing you to make decisions that would take away your God-given rights. If our founding fathers were here today, I think this is what they would say to us. They would quote Revelation chapter 2, verses 4 and 5. But I have this against you, that you have left your first love. Therefore, remember from where you have fallen, and repent, and do the deeds you did at first, or else I am coming to you and will remove your lampstand out of its place unless you repent. Thank you. Look at that.
Look at that. I'll carry that over to the next meeting. Don't do that.
Next, I got 2 more. 2 more.
Oh.
Yeah. Jesse Sapp.
Hold on, Mr. Otherwise, you're only gonna get 3 seconds.
I'll wait for you. Jesse Sapp. I don't know how to follow some of these people with some good speakers tonight. I'm kind of conflicted on what to speak on tonight, too. There's been, I don't know, a lot of these things don't belong here. They don't belong addressed in a public forum like this, and especially in the way they have been tonight. I don't think, I don't disrespect anybody, no matter who they are, where they come from, what their views are. Oh, my kid's raised a certain way, and I don't want that influenced by the school system. And I think everybody here can agree with that, no matter which side of the fence you're on. If you want to teach your kids something at home, teach them what you want at home. But the school system shouldn't come in between that. We should be able to have that at home, no matter which side of the fence we're on. So I'm wondering where we're going that we haven't gone the last 10 years. And I've been watching everything that's gone on this school year, and I got a couple things that I want to bring up, and I've mentioned this to some of you guys, but the teacher moving, and I don't know how many people in the community have heard about this. I've heard a couple things come up. What I've heard is the teachers moving. We're moving teachers from A or B and C rated schools who are rated effective and highly effective to schools who are rated D and one that's been rated a D and an F for the last 2 years. I've heard that it's state mandated. I've looked over the rules. I know part of it is state mandated. The Lake Placid Elementary having an F the year before, a 29%, and having a D this year or this past school year, they are mandated to have the teachers moved. The other two schools, that's not what the rules say. The other two schools say that it is up to the district, it's actually up to the superintendent whether the teachers are moved. If you guys were told something different than that, I have the rules and I can show you where it needs to be considered. It's supposed to be considered by the superintendent if there's teachers moved to those two schools. Now, we're how many weeks in the school? 3 or 4? You're going to take elementary school kids who are already bonded with their teacher after probably day one. Most of them are. My kid is. And you're going to take those teachers away from their kids because they did a good job for the last 3 years. They got high VAM scores. You're going to take those teachers away from their kids, and you're going to put them in a whole other school with another set of kids. Disrupt their whole first 4 or 5 weeks. Most of these kids in elementary schools don't even have a math curriculum yet. Don't even have math books yet. That's as of today. I asked the teacher, we still don't have elementary school math curriculum. So what are we doing to make things better? I haven't seen it. I don't know what it is. Are we going to leave the agenda item 13E on the agenda tonight? If so, I'll leave that until later. Looking for Alaska. That's the name of the book that Miss Spillane, I hope I got her name right. Looking for Alaska is the name of that book. Very explicit. I didn't know, I had no idea that it was in any of our schools. It was a Facebook post that popped up that I saw earlier today. It's very graphic and very detailed and exactly what she said it was. I won't go any farther with that. I think the last thing I have, Rhonda Rivera. She doesn't work for the school district anymore, from what I understood. But I haven't seen her on superintendent's, the roster, the list of why she left or how she left. I'm interested in that. Thank you.
One more. Lauren Bush, I'm going up and then we'll keep working.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to present a few concerns. I kind of feel like Jesse. At this point, there's been a lot of stuff said, and so I'm going to try to keep it brief. I was in the room when the governor signed the HB 1557 bill, and I strongly support parental rights in education. I think we have a right to know what our students are being taught, and then whether we agree. I'm a strong advocate and proponent of homeschooling. I've pulled my kids out last year, and I have no intention of returning because of the current agenda that the public school system has pointed towards our children. When I was a child a few years ago, I wasn't ever confused whether I was a boy or a girl. I didn't face that gender confusion illness. Today, there are countless influences, social media influences, organizations that are targeting our children and creating mental gender ideology confusion. It is radical, it is aggressive. I want to give you a couple names. January Littlejohn, she is a Florida mom. Her child, she's part of the reason that HB 1557 bill came to pass. I met her, and her child is a middle schooler, and she was notified when her child tried to kill herself on their campus. She later found out that her child was receiving mental counseling. She immediately called the school to get information about that incident and was denied because the school had deemed her as a Catholic Christian a threat. And so her daughter had Title IX rights of privacy rights that her own parent was inhibited from being able to guide, nurture, and shape and correct where she had misplaced, where the daughter had misstepped. That was right after COVID shut down when they were getting back to school. Planned Parenthood is targeting. already doing it over in California, and they're implementing into schools, giving out gender puberty blockers. There are people getting reassignment surgeries. They're targeting our children. If you want to do that as an adult, it's fine. It's your choice. But to target a child that's going through puberty at a very tender and vulnerable age, I think we need to be very diligent to guard against. Which brings me to the topic that I wanted to talk about, which is the Title IX guidelines that we're seeing. As Lonnie pointed out, that you guys received a letter from Manny. Oh, I didn't tell you the other name. January Littlejohn and Chloe Cole. She is a detransitioner who has had her breast removed at the age of 15 or 16. She is in trans regret, and she is begging legislators to block gender reassignment surgeries and puberty blockers. Puberty is not a health condition. We adopted a policy, 2266, 2 years ago. It seems to be that it was a little premature because just last month, the Department of Education proposed some rulemaking to rewrite the language for sex discrimination, which includes sexual orientation and gender identity. I think after talking to John Stemberger for an hour and a half on Friday, I think we would be well advised to exclude the subjective language of gender identity and avoid our children. Right now, as your policy stands, a boy can come to the coach and say, I want to play girls volleyball. And that coach, based on your policy, cannot deny them the right to play. They can say, your policy says, I identify as a girl, so I can play your sport. Something worth looking into. Thank you for your time.
We good to continue?
Before you leave, Ms. Bush, I would point out to you and the rest of the crowd that there was a law passed last year that does clearly state, and if you want the citation, it's 1006.235, I think. But I think it's 1006.235. I have it somewhere down here. I've got the law here if you want to see it. But essentially, what it amounts to is this, that boys cannot play on female sports teams, period. Not allowed in this state. And for the very reasons you pointed out in part. They are allowed, girls can play on the boys' team, but boys cannot play on the girls' team.
And is that a federal or a state?
That's a state law. Kaylee Tuck, who is here in 1006.205, my apologies. It's called Fairness in Women's Sports Act. It talks about the legislature finds that requiring the designation of separate sex-specific athletic teams or sports is necessary to maintain fairness for women's athletic opportunities. And so it's pretty clear. It's unambiguous to me as I read it, so you might want to look over that.
Orientation and gender identity is a little subjective.
I won't disagree. You're right.
Could you give me that citation one more time, please?
1006.205.
Thank you.
Good to continue as a board? Go to superintendent's report.
Okay, just a few things for tonight. The 15-day enrollment comparison, we're up 116 students this year from last year at the same time. So currently, we had 12,267 students on day 15. I did have the privilege to substitute at Highlands Virtual School on Friday, and really want to thank Ms. Rita Graham for letting me shadow her. Most of the time when I go in to substitute, the teacher's not present, but they didn't trust me in that environment. So I was able to shadow her for the day, and it was a very good experience to see the kids come on as a class and individually. So I look forward to next month being at Cracker Trail Elementary. And really want to thank Grace Bible Church. They hosted a wonderful parent meeting, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. It was very well attended by our community on some topics that I think we need to learn more and more about with social media, and it was very good, very informative, and I just want to thank Grace Bible to partner with the Sheriff's Department and the school to be able to come together on that topic. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Go to 2. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move approval. Second.
Motion from Ms. Howerton, a second from Mrs. Shoup. Any public discussion? Back to the board for discussion. Roll call members, Ms. Howerton.
Yes.
Ms. Shoup.
Yes.
Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay, 9, I believe is next. Motion to approve consent agenda items as presented.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Howerton, a second from Ms. Compton Twist. Okay, to the public for discussion.
I'm going to ask again, is this the right time for the policies, or are we waiting?
No.
Next one, okay.
Okay,
I'll get it up front.
gotcha. Okay, back to the board for discussion. Okay, roll call of members. Ms. Howerton.
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist.
Yes.
Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
Ms. Shoup.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 10A, consider approval of the superintendent's recommendation for personnel.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion from Ms. Shoup, a second from Mr. Brantley. Public discussion. Back to the board for discussion.
I see a lot of 8th hours on the
Yes, ma'am.
agenda, which allows us for some of our openings that we have not completed and
Yes, ma'am. Lower those class
lower
sizes.
those class sizes.
Yes, ma'am. They're working hard to do that. So I think we should meet class size as we're standing now.
Okay, roll call of members. Ms. Shoup.
Yes.
Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist.
Yes.
And Ms. Howerton.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. 10B, consider approval of expulsions.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, a motion from Mr. Brantley, a second from Ms. Shoup. And we did not bring that to public discussion, but we will bring it back to board for discussion. Okay, roll call of members. Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
Ms. Shoup.
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist.
Yes.
Ms. Howerton.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. Now we are to the action items. I'm going to pass that, Mr. You want to do it first, or do you need a motion first?
I'll address this and pick up a motion when I'm through. How's that?
That sounds great.
Okay. So, items 13A through 13L, all have exactly the same issue before the board tonight regarding, adoption of the final revisions that were made to these two rules. These are rules that have previously been adopted and now before you deal with, a common, thread in all of them. So I won't even go into any details about any of the respective policies. We may be getting some of that anyway, but the only thing before the board tonight is one thing, and that is the advertised change to the existing policies. That advertised change is to remove Andrew Lethbridge as a point of contact and the ADA coordinator and Title IX coordinator, and putting Carla Ball in as Director of Human Resources. So I'll confirm that that's all been advertised. Yes. Okay. And then back to the board for a motion and action as you deem appropriate.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second. Okay. A motion from Ms. Compton Twist, a second from Ms. Shoup, to the public for discussion.
Jesse Sapp, my comment is on 13E. I'm sure you guys have heard the comments already before, but the first line, it says, including sexual orientation or gender identity. Again, not bashing anybody, I'm just bringing up a point. And I heard what Mr. McClure said about the recent change there. So in sports, I get it. I think in sports is covered. What about if it's not in sports? What about if it's, I'm a boy, but I identify as a girl, and I want to use the girls' locker room without sports, PE? I think the way the policy is written and the way the law is written, you still have to entertain the idea of letting that student use the opposite bathroom. I don't think anybody here is going to object to anything except what is in those parentheses right there. That's the only objection that we have. And if that's a Title IX requirement, it's time that somebody stands up and says, hey, do we really need to abide by Title IX? What are we going to lose if we don't abide by Title IX? Does anybody know the answer to that question? I know it's been asked this week. No, nobody knows what do you lose if you don't do what they say. I think it's a question that needs to be asked. If that's something that Title IX requires, we need to ask the question, what do you lose, if anything? Thanks.
And I would respectfully say to the board this, what is before you tonight is that which has been advertised and is up for your consideration, which is just the modification of removing Mr. Lethbridge and putting Carla in place, Ms. Ball. So I would also respectfully say to you that in my opinion, from what I've learned here tonight, and I don't know anything about this, I'll be honest with you, but apparently the governor has written some sort of letters about these types of issues. Clearly, I think if the board wishes to consider a change to the two existing policies that have this information in it, which were just adopted at Neola's recommendation when it came through, and are existing now as policy, okay? You cannot change any of this tonight, nothing, because you haven't advertised it, it's a rule, you haven't changed anything. We have to go through the process if we're going to modify this. I know there are people that want to speak to it, and they feel very strongly about it. I think this is appropriate for your public comment in general. I'm not sure it's appropriate for a public comment on this policy as it's being considered tonight about this. To the extent you've deferred your comments until this came up, I think they ought to be heard. I'm just saying that, you know what I'm saying. The bottom line is, okay? Bottom line is, if it's going to be changed, it ought to be done in an orderly fashion, due consideration, and public input, and all the other stuff we have. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. More public discussion?
Hey, I'm Skylar Scott, and I wanted to just speak on this topic because I have, 4 kids that are in sports, that are using the restrooms, that are dealing with teachers, and I want to just speak from a safety standpoint and from a mom's standpoint that if we want people to be identified by their biological sex, it's fair to know if you're sharing a bathroom with somebody that's biologically female or male. And then when you get into teachers, I understand that I'm not being judgmental on how someone chooses to identify, but if you're identifying as a female but you're not, and you're coaching a female sport, there's just so many complications that come into play and so many safety issues. So this is not about bullying or anything like that. It's just pure safety when it comes to my children and other children. So thank you.
Jared, Eddie, how are y'all?
Hey.
Can we start the process tonight to get this policy changed? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a school board member. I don't know how that works, but can we start that tonight? Can we have the conversation? So I have a young child that just started 1st grade. She does not have math books. I'm here tonight. What are we doing to make this situation better? And there's been so many things covered tonight. I am this close to homeschooling my child. And I'm this and it's not going to be the Heartland virtual where the school board's not going to get the money. I have to make a decision, I have to make a decision for my child, and I have to protect my child, right? It's what we all did when we brought these children into this world. Transgender bathrooms. If it's not in Highlands County today, that it will come. Are we prepared to make that call? Y'all, women and men, y'all are going to have to make the decision. Not me, I'm just a citizen. Are y'all prepared to take a stand for I don't know what y'all believe in. That's obviously when the vote comes, we'll hear about it. Men or boys playing in girls' sports, girls playing in boys' sports. We don't have to go over what a man and a woman is. We all know that. Are we ready to make that decision? I'm going to leave y'all with a task, and it's going to be a tough task. Can we start that discussion tonight on changing 13E? I think it's policy number 2266. Can we start that? Can we have the discussion? Thank you.
Thank you, very nice of you. No. Hey, Reese Martin. I know we're hearing a lot about this one, 2266. Again, just last week we had a workshop around health curriculum. The same wording, sexual orientation, gender identity, was in there. And I think as a board, you decided that we wanted to get it out of there. We wanted to stick to the bare minimums of what the health requirements were, what the state said that we had to do. So you kind of went through a lot of that, creating a new policy, and remove that was one of the suggestions that were made. So if we can do it there, there's no reason we can't do it on this policy. Looking at Title IX, as far as I know, and I've been trying to do some digging, it says no person in the U.S. on the basis of sex be excluded from participation. Unless legislatively they have changed that to say sexual orientation or gender identity, then I don't know why we have to have it in there either. It should just be on the basics of sex. Keep it the way that it is. Keep it the way that the statute says. The only thing I can say is over years, they've taken God out of school and removed it. And now we're trying to get this confusing language back into our schools. We don't need it. If we can't have God in there, we don't need to have the other. Stick to what parents are saying. Let's get to the basics of educating our kids, reading, writing, arithmetic, skills that they need. Thank you.
Larry Overfield, CPT. Skylar, what you said, I'm not afraid to make this announcement, all right? Then God said, behold, no, I'm sorry. God created man in his own image. This is Genesis chapter 127. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. I think that ends that. As far as Title IX goes and all this stuff about, bathrooms and stuff like that, some of the research I've done on this stuff, when we're dealing with federal dollars, no federal dollars have ever been withheld that I know of just because you didn't follow a particular item in whatever that regulation. I don't know if it would be a statute. It would be a statute, wouldn't it? Am I correct? John, can I?
Probably not.
Probably not?
Probably not. Probably a regulation
Okay,
promulgated by an
well,
agency.
then that's probably why they haven't withheld any money, because it's not law. Thank you.
Back to the board for discussion.
Well, Mr. McClure, I wanted some clarification on what, after, I guess we hear one more. Is she going? Is she leaving or is she coming up here? She's out. She's out. So if you're saying that the governor, you want to look into something, I want to go with what the governor is asking us to do, because I don't want to be penalized there in any way. And
So do we have to put this in?
This is the same thing we've talked about several times already, okay? Are we worried about the threat of loss of federal funding, or the near certainty of loss of state funding, which is federally funded largely in part too, by the way? It's your choice to make. I don't want to advise you on that.
Well, I agree
but-
with it. I agree with what I'm hearing the governor say.
Okay. Well, you as a board member and the rest of the board members, you have received things that he is saying, okay? So, and I try to give very neutral advice despite my personal beliefs, understand that, okay? So the bottom line is this, that if the board wants to modify these policies and remove the objectionable language and stick to the basic sex word, that's something you can do. These are your policies, all right? So you identify what goes in there. Now, in whatever the ramifications are for doing that, I don't know what they're gonna be. But yes, you have the authority to do whatever you want to do with your policies, as long as it's within the bounds of the law. Okay, as Mr. Overfield pointed out, the law comes from the legislature. The regulations promulgated by agencies are given the force of law, okay? But my guess is, if any district, any county in this state is discriminated, is challenged by the federal government, I cannot imagine that the state would not assist you with all their might in defending against that.
Okay.
Simply put, okay?
Can we amend the motion?
No.
Or do we just have to pull, to pull E?
E, well, no, let me explain this to you, okay?
Okay.
Why would you want to do that? Because what you want to do is not pull E, because that would leave Mr. Lethbridge as the equity coordinator under E.
That's why I want to somehow
would have to
allow Mr., for that switch.
Yes.
But I
True.
want to
Yeah,
maybe,
well, that's what I was trying to explain to you earlier.
well, we're not
Approve it and then
understanding.
come
yet.
back
Okay.
and change it.
Sorry. What you're doing tonight is simply
And I
approving the
realize.
one thing that's been advertised, which is changing, removing Mr. Lethbridge and putting Ms. Ball in there. That's all. That's all you're doing.
But it still leaves that
Right,
language.
but we
didn't
could
say
come
didn't
back
leave.
and
It's
change
already
that.
in there.
Right. And
If
then
you
we
want-
would come
Then we just need
back.
to advertise to bring this one back.
If you want to change that language, you have to start from square one.
That's fine.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all I'm
fine.
trying to explain.
Okay. When we would do that at our next meeting?
You can, if
I would like
if
to
the
see
board,
it
Let's do
done,
that.
yeah.
if the board would like to see a modification of the thing on the consent agenda, and I don't think it'd be very difficult to develop, and then start the notice of intent to modify the rule
If you'd
through.
like to stipulate a
through that.
timeline, that'd be great.
Okay, so, that is not on the agenda. That's not really an emergency item. But your notice of intent to develop things doesn't really have to be voted on you here. And I would recommend you don't do that because it's not an agenda item.
Okay.
But we'll just put it on the next agenda, on the consent agenda to get things started, and you can move from there. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Take
Yes,
the
sir.
Parentheses out. That sounds good to me, so. Okay. So I'm taking it to vote. Ms. Compton Twist,
Yes.
Ms. Shoup,
Yes.
Mr. Brantley,
Yes.
Ms. Howerton,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. To be fixed later. 15A, consider approval to award contract for one heavy-duty 1.5-ton 4x4 standard cab utility truck with dump bed to Allen J. Ford SBHC 2223-06.
Can we discuss that before we make a motion?
Yes.
Want to know if we're ever going to get to see these vehicles.
Well, I actually ended up visiting both. And I was kind of hoping that I was thinking we might have Willie here or Mike.
Mike's here.
Mike's here.
Oh, there's Mike. I look for you. But I think that actually in talking to Alan J, they sent a letter, and then this may not be the one with the 7 trucks.
It's the next agenda
Yeah,
item.
there's,
So
There's 3 of
they,
them on there.
they sent a
It's
letter
the
that they
third
really
one.
can't even meet what they bid on.
That's
Right.
correct, and I'll explain that on the next agenda
Now,
item.
on the 7 trucks, no, the this is on the minivan, right? What are we talking about?
This is just the one.
this is a
Right.
1-ton.
The second agenda item on there is the 4.
There's 3 separate
cargo
ones.
vans.
A, B, C.
Yeah, because, I know the 7 trucks, whichever one that was, so tell
See.
me which one this one is.
This
I'm
is the
looking at it, I'm trying.
first one.
This
for
is the first
one.
one, a heavy-duty 1.5 truck. 5-ton truck,
Standard
4x4
cab.
standard cab utility.
Utility with
It has
a,
a dump bed.
yeah.
It's not a
bed.
dump truck.
Yeah, you know what, they didn't talk about that one.
It's the second agenda item. That's what he's talking. I met with him just before the board meeting, and I can explain it to you when you get to that agenda item.
And then I was just curious why Mr. Jarrett didn't, and I guess he, you know, y'all asked him for a letter. I would have liked to have heard it read tonight.
Well, he talked to us at the athletic task force meeting, and he told us that he couldn't deliver those trucks we ordered over a year ago. We just can't get them. And so we're gonna cancel that PO. We'll have the money available. And so,
I know I did get a kind of a guarantee from Chris, who's with Alan J's Fleet Sales. But I didn't, what I want to know is, okay, I think this one, if I'm looking at it, they'd have to honor this bid, and they've got till October 14th. And I know we won't even get probably any of these vehicles till 2023.
probably, in the
Yeah.
bid, it was like 180 to 365 days in
To me, there's just
delivery.
still a lot of things that are, now, I was told the 7 trucks, Alan J said, Chris said, I've got those, you're gonna have those. But like you say, you're gonna talk to us about the other one that he said, I've written, you know. So, there's just really a lot of unanswered questions here when I went to the 2 of them. And I would have liked to have, I don't know why you would ask Mr. Jarrett to write a letter and not bring it to the meeting for us to read. Yeah, someone called him and asked why he didn't, and they wrote a letter and saying, you know, why they didn't. And
Why they didn't bid on it?
yeah, and I would have asked for a letter, but I just, famous word, assumed.
I think he just notified us that he wasn't gonna be able to honor the bid. And so we canceled the PO.
He asked us, he asked us to do that at the Citizens Advisory last week.
So I remember when this was brought to us about a year ago, and no one made a motion, no one made a second, and you know what, because I can't talk to you guys, I couldn't ever figure out why. But then I looked at it again, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna go, and I happened to be at Bill Jarrett's this morning and on a matter, and was talking to him, and then I called Chris. So,
And Bill Jarrett was unable to bid on these particular bids. He just can't get the trucks. That's why he did not bid. But Alan J can. So it's a different set of circumstance for Alan J than it is for Bill Jarrett.
So for this first truck, he will be able to?
Yes, the first and the third, he's gonna be able to deliver. It's the second one with the cargo vans that he,
I think their amount changed before the bid opening, was the way Chris explained
no,
it to me.
no, he can't get the high-topped cargo van, so he gave us a quote for a different type of van, which is on state contract, and we'll be able to move forward with those quotes after I talk to Frank and Willie tomorrow morning, because I didn't know anything that was coming out of
He
this.
sent me the thing on the vans that he can
So,
piggyback.
if you can either move forward on the second item to approve it, and if you can get them, you can't, then we'll move back, we'll go to the quotes he gave us, because those are on state contract, we don't need to bid them.
Yeah, and I mean, Mr. Jarrett wasn't upset. He just said, it was just explained, we wrote a letter why we didn't bid, and that's why. So, I'm not even asking him about this.
So as we sit with 15A,
We've actually got till October 14th on this one. The other one, we only have till September, there's one we only have till September 10th. But I think that's the 7 trucks, which we can get.
Yeah, and we talked to him, he's actually placed the order, and we're gonna do the PO exit tomorrow morning
Yeah, the
for the
7.
ones, if it's approved by the board, but the second item,
Well,
he said he placed the order, but he's not gonna be able to receive them. When he bid on it, he had the availability of those trucks, and now the company's telling him he doesn't. So, you can go either way on the second one. If you approve it, fine, we can move
like a
forward and
little-
try to
yeah.
get those vans. If not, then we'll just, we'll go back and look at his quote, see if those vans will work for us, and we'll move forward with the state contract.
So each one of these separately, I got 15A at this point. It's the one that's for the heavy-duty 1.5-ton truck, 4x4 standard cab utility truck with dump bed to Allen J. Ford, SBHC 2223-06. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A motion from Mr. Brantley,
I'll second that.
and a second from Ms. Compton Twist. The public for discussion. Back to the board for discussion. Okay, Ms. Brantley,
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist,
Yes.
Ms. Howerton.
No.
I think Ms.
I am abstaining from the vote. Alan Wallstein is on my husband's, he's the director for my husband's bank, and therefore it's a conflict of interest. And I have signed all the 3 papers.
And chair votes yes on 15A. Passes. 15B, consider approval to award contract for 4 heavy-duty 1-ton 4x2 high roof cargo vans to Allen J. Ford, SBHC 2223-07.
So again, just before the meeting, I met with Chris from L&J, and he stated he would not be able to, he placed the order for Friday, but he doesn't think he's going to be able to get the high-top cargo vans. He brought me a quote for a regular van, it's not high-top, and it's off a state contract, and I'll talk to Willie and Frank tomorrow, see if that van will work for them. And we can move forward on the state contract.
I'm not gonna say, I'm not who gets it or who doesn't, but Mr. McClure, can we, since we're changing the description of what we put out for bid, and we're gonna just accept a state bid, can we do that?
That's really not what he said. He said, for this bid, we only have the one bidder, Allen J. Ford, okay? So you can accept.
On a high top van.
On the high top van. You can accept or reject his bid, all right? So if you reject the bid, then Mr. Averett is saying, we still need vans, so we don't have to bid it out if we can get it off the state contract. So we'll look on the state contract and see if this van suits our purposes. If it suits our purposes, then we can order it off the state contract. If it doesn't suit our purposes, then you might come back to the board and say, hey, guys, what do you want us to do? I don't know, that's my guess.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. Are we taking action on it, or since we're not?
You can't get them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're taking action. If he can't deliver them, then we don't move with the PO.
See,
But
that's
you're-
what
you
he's
can
wanting us
approve
to
the bid or reject the bid, either way.
And we're not
I think I know
sure.
what you're saying. and
We
here's
don't know
what
for
it is.
sure he can't get them. He's gonna know.
He said he placed the order, but he doesn't think he can get them. So my recommendation is approve the bid. I'll get more information from Chris, and if he tells us that we can't deliver on it, then we'll move forward with them going under the state contract and order these vans if they're suitable.
Of course, if he does approve it, it's approved, too.
Well, he told me he definitely couldn't get the high top. He told me he definitely couldn't get the high top.
Yes. Well, he kind of wishy-washy with me
Well, he
this
told me he
afternoon,
couldn't get it.
because
I
he
like
said he ordered them, but he can't get them. I don't know.
Because he sent me a picture of, and I mean, if that works, it works. I just didn't know if it,
What's the basis for needing the high top? Let me
That's
ask
when I
that.
want to talk to Frank tomorrow. The quote he gave me is for $35,000. These particular vans are $50,000. And I'm sure this is what Frank really wanted, so I'm not sure these regular vans are going to even work for him.
they're actually more money than our bid, you're saying?
The quote is less than what we actually bid because they're not high top.
I guess I was thinking you kind of said something.
The quote from the state bid
Yeah.
contract?
It's a different van. It's a GMC van. This is a Ford van, high top.
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying, Frank estimated that it should be worth around 35. The bid actually came in at 50?
No, the two different types of vehicles altogether.
Okay, all right, so.
We bid this specific vehicle, and that's what he bid on, and now he's telling us he can't get them.
I got it.
Well, and actually, the bid amount, and I don't know that the bid amount changed too.
No, it didn't.
He did share that with me.
The quotes are different, yes. It's a different vehicle altogether, but what he bid on didn't change. That's what he the bid that we received, that's what he bid on.
Yeah, he was actually gonna come tonight, he had said, but I guess he didn't make it. So,
Okay. So
If, I'll say this, okay? If you vote on this and reject it, all right, you can still reconsider it later if a member of the party, of the group that voted against it moves for reconsideration. That can be done.
you totally lost it.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Did y'all understand that?
In my opinion.
Okay, somebody who voted for it, to buy it, cannot say, I wonder, can we reconsider this? Because they were in the losing side, okay? The prevailing party that said, I vote against buying this, can say, I move to reconsider that and change your vote to vote in favor of it. That's what I'm saying.
Because there's only one bidder on this particular truck,
Two.
it'd be better for you, I think, as a board to approve it. And if we can get him, if I talk to him and he says, yeah, now we got a chance for it, then fine, move forward. If he can't, then
That's why I
There's
just
no-
don't know if the other dealership could have done the same thing.
Am I on the wrong one?
we didn't receive any other bids.
We-
It looks
we-
like
You
there's
wrote a
two
letter why
bids.
you didn't receive the bids, and you didn't bring that letter.
But it's quite a bit.
I'd rather see we check with Frank.
but it's
He can,
still
he
there.
can use the standard vans, they're what, $25,000 difference?
They're about about $15,000 difference.
$15,000 difference? For a high top, we can buy a trailer to put behind that sucker.
And we're not sure that it'll work.
Yeah, I want to hear from Frank, unfortunately, he's not here. But if those other vans will work and we can save $15,000 a vehicle,
Right. I don't
At
think
this
we
point, I
move
have no
forward.
motion. Do I have any motions? Okay, and we'll move on. Okay, 15C, consider approval to award contract for 7 heavy-duty 1-ton 4x2 pickup trucks to Allen J. Chevrolet's SPHC 2223-08.
I'm gonna move approval.
second.
And that's because I did talk to both parties, and Alan J. did guarantee that he has those ordered and they're earmarked for us. And if
Right.
not, he was gonna sell them.
Okay, motion from Ms. Howerton. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Brantley. Any public discussion? Back to the board for discussion. Okay, roll call of members. Ms. Howerton.
Yes.
Ms. Brantley.
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist.
Yes.
I will abstain once again. Mr. Wildstein is a director with my husband's bank, and therefore it is a conflict of interest.
Okay, and chair votes yes. 15C passes.
And yes, my paper has all been filed.
Have any emergency items? Any legislative issues? Planning and zoning? HCESPA, members' comments. Okay. There you are. Stuck around with us.
Hey, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jean Federico. I'm president of the Highlands County Education Association, representing the teachers. And I just want to appeal to the public and to the board to understand that right now, teachers are feeling pretty battered. We are given curriculum to teach. We do the best we can. Yes, a lot of us don't have books. It's not just the elementary schools. We're doing the best we can to teach the children. But every time we turn around, there are people complaining about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And they're not always really nice about it. You know, we've had parents berating teachers for things that either even never happened or were taken out of context. I'm just asking, give us a little bit of grace, realize that we want the same thing for your kids that you want. We want them to grow up to be healthy, productive adults, well-rounded adults, but we're trying. But I just starting to feel pretty battered right now by a lot of things in the public comment. And I'm just asking you to be a little more patient with the teachers.
Thank you. School board attorney comments.
Legally speaking, I don't have a lot to say tonight. Very interesting times we're living in. I'd have to say that for sure. The only thing I would comment on is something everybody in this room's going to say, and that's what a fantastic job Joanna's doing with that IB program. I mean, I was awed. I mean, awed. It takes a lot to awe me, but I was awed by the accomplishments of those kids. I couldn't believe it. Doing research on colorectal cancer And, I mean, it just goes on and on. I was really amazed. Both of my kids take after their mother, so they're both National Merit Scholars, but I'm gonna tell you, they didn't work on anything like that, I can promise you that. That was truly amazing. That IB program blows me away. It's a great job she's doing. That's all I've got, thank you.
Ms. Howerton?
Just ditto on what Mr. McClure said about our IB presentation, and just seeing those students, I know that our future is in good hands. And just, we offer so many programs at our schools that contribute to that. See Mr. Wright come up, I remember him coming through the Ag Venture program. I'm not trying to tell my age, so you're old. I know, so I'm just, it's nice to see that circle come back around again. I do want to thank everybody for coming tonight and your comments. I think we kind of put some things, concerns, so I was just kind of looking on here. Now, I don't think that we really did get an update on where we are on the moving of teachers in your superintendent's report, and I was kind of hoping to hear something there, so that we kind of knew what we were looking at. And I have been kind of given some information on the math books, and I'm hearing they were maybe going to be coming our way September 19th. They're not even coming our way yet. The math books coming September.
They're coming. We have loads coming in, online versions. We have training coming in. I set up on Friday the 9th with the coaches and an additional teacher. And then on the 21st, we have all-day option if the schools can get subs. And the teachers are able to leave their class for full-day training. So we've got a lot of work in progress. We've worked very hard the last week or two.
All right, thank you.
I can speak to
Yeah.
that if you'd like me to, a little bit about the movement of the teachers. We have 3 schools that will have some state oversight: Park Elementary, Fred Wild Elementary, and Lake Placid Elementary. We learned about 10 days ago that at those schools, they would need to have teachers that have effective or highly effective VAM at a higher percentage at each one of those schools than we have across the district. So the district effective and highly effective teachers is at 73%. So at each one of those schools, they would have to have a higher percentage of teachers than 73%. I will not be moving teachers out of Park or Fred Wild. We did have 3 teachers that will be leaving Lake Placid Elementary, and hopeful that we'll have 4 teachers going into Lake Placid Elementary. I sent an email out to all of our teachers that have effective or highly effective VAM probably about a week ago. I think it was a little over 200 teachers. And from that, we had 1 teacher from Lake Country Elementary that asked to go to Park Elementary. And so I did allow that to happen because at Park Elementary, there was one of the tested grades. It wasn't 4th or 5th, but it was 3rd grade that they were needing a teacher there. So I did allow that to happen. The effective teachers will receive $7,500 compensation from the state, and our highly effective teachers will receive $15,000 from the state. So through the rest of this week, I will be working with teachers and principals to make that adjustment for those 3 or 4 to go into Lake Placid Elementary.
And I spoke to Mr. Lethbridge because I have shared with some, and they've asked me, but even all the teachers that are at those, I know at Lake Placid Elementary, if they're highly effective and effective, they get those dollars.
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Is that true with the Avon Park and the Fred Wild also?
Yes, ma'am.
Even though they're not really?
Yes, because they have state oversight.
Okay.
So at all 3 of those schools, if they're providing instruction to students, yes, they would receive that compensation. They have to be on the roster by September 15th, and so we are working to make sure that that happens. And so we're moving along with the process.
Mr. Brantley?
Just glad to see the IB kids come up here, see the ones that have moved on and what great work they're doing, and it's just nice to see some positive things. That's it.
Ms. Compton-Twist?
I would like to say the same thing. I just want to thank everyone for showing up tonight and for being willing to get up to the podium and speak. I know that's not always easy or popular, but we appreciate that, and I just want to thank you for that. Also, just with the IB program, it is such an amazing program, but not just that, but it's just an opportunity for our students. And just to highlight one of the amazing opportunities that we offer in this district, because we have so many amazing opportunities for our students. And I love that we're doing these Highlands highlights, because we need to get the word out that we have so many other opportunities for our kids. And it's not just the college-bound kids, but also career opportunities and many other things. So I'm thankful for that. And we've already touched on the other things that I was going to say, so that is all for me.
Thank you. Ms. Shoup?
First and foremost, thank you everyone for taking time out of your evening away from your family to be here. In what Ms. Compton Twist said as far as coming up, we love to hear your comments. And then also about the IB program. Maybe 2 years ago, I can't remember, but I had the opportunity to be on their recertification committee, and you sat at a table with kids and teachers, or I should say students and teachers, because they're not kids, but and they are just the way that they think. It's just it was a great opportunity, and I would strongly recommend, if you're at some of these programs that they volunteer, talk to them, because you would be blown away by their intelligence and their presentations. Am I correct, Ms. Leach? Yes. I know. I know, yes. So, yeah, it keeps you on your toes, I'm sure. But like I said, first and foremost, thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day and their evening away from their family to be here.
Okay. And then if you pour yourself in your students long enough in this district, you'll be able to watch an elementary kid that you had in elementary school as an administrator speak on this stage in the IB program, and it was so cool. Or you can see a kid you had taught in class in elementary school be a principal.
That's right.
And get introduced as a principal. So congratulations to that. So